Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Knife of Dunwall, Dishonored DLC, Master Assassin video walkthrough. This is the final part to Eminent Domain. We're still on this goddamn fireplace, on this chimney breast, waiting for this douchebag to move so we can steal his key. And this is a walkthrough to help you get the 0 kills, 0 alerts and low chaos playthrough of the DLC. It doesn't have to be done on this difficulty. The difficulty is mainly me doing what I do, and hopefully it makes the video a little bit more interesting when you don't see me just demolishing everything. But this is the moment we've been waiting for, I think, where he's going to sit by the fire. I say sit by the fire, he stands there and warms his hands like a hunter fresh back from the woods, and he's going to turn to the right and go towards those doors that we opened. But it does take its time, hence why we're still waiting and hunting. And it's weird because there's this level which is a 3-parter of, setting up, getting ready, waiting, stalking, and then the last level is just a clusterfuck of design. The surge on this DLC is one of those missions that comes along and kind of ruins your experience, because for a game that's predominantly allowed you to do what you wanted when you wanted for the entire time, it then forces you to kill, or it then forces you to neutralise targets, and targets in mass, and it just feels really forced, and I wish they'd handled it a lot differently than they did. And as it stands, when I went back and I did the recording for the guide, I had 0 trouble compared to the attempt before. Like, it went completely smooth, aside from I missed one of the music box guys, and if I'd have neutralised him earlier, it would have been even smoother than it went. But on my first playthrough, when I just got beat up. I got really beat up, and I wasn't enjoying it at all, and it sucked, because my story with this DLC is an interesting one. I've not played Dishonored for a while. I immediately bopped onto the DLC when I grabbed it, banged it on the hardest setting, and started playing, and the first mission was so convoluted to get into the slaughterhouse that I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it at all. My brain would not wrap around the notion of how to play the game again. And there were so many different conflicting systems at the same time that I felt really overwhelmed. And it was really hard getting back. And I downloaded it about 2 o'clock in the morning. I started playing about 3. So I was already tired. I knew I wasn't going to get a big session with it, but I wanted to at least play it because I was looking forward to it. And the combination of being kind of tired, not having the same amount of patience because of sleep deprivation and what have you, I fell out with it that night, and I didn't enjoy my time with it at all. But the next morning when I started playing, I figured it out finally, and it did fall into place, and then everything started to go a lot smoother. But that initial experience with the first part and that experience with the last part of the DLC really smeared my appreciation of it. Like, I can look back now and see it as being an interesting, decision, and being something that definitely changes the pace and the mood of the way you're supposed to play. But at the time, I couldn't back it. I didn't like it. But now that you've grabbed what you need to grab and you've put that shitbox in the vent, when you climb out of here, you want to save before you do any of this, because when I warp up here with the blink, there's a guard to my left. There's always a guard here, and he always puts you in a kind of funny situation. And I was trying to blink onto this lamppost here, and it worked a treat. So as you can see, there is the guard. The choice I did have is I could have blinked behind those boxes in front of me. He will never come to those boxes. He always goes and looks over that wall that I was just on. But now that we've got past him, we can then climb up here and then drop into these little... I don't really know what they are. They're like accesses to basement level floors. You can see by the marks on the hood that guy nearly saw me just then. But make sure you save and everything. And at this point here, you don't have to wait for General Turnbull to turn up and then get the letter from the Timsh guy, who then gets kind of screwed over. You don't have to wait for any of that to happen. You can completely get the hell out of Dodge. But just be warned when you get up to this section here. There is a terrible doorway coming up, which I couldn't figure out at all, and then I kind of stumbled upon it and felt like an idiot, where when you go through the doorway, there is a guard that turns around and looks directly at you every single time. You can be crouched, you can be stood up, doesn't matter. He turns around and looks at you every time. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. This cannot be done. This guy knows I'm here every single time. What the hell do I do? And the answer is so bloody obvious, I just never thought. As soon as you go through the door, hold blink. It will freeze time before he turns, and then you can blink onto one of the roofs in time for him to look around and not see you. But at the time, I felt like the game was broken, and I was on the verge of like doing a YouTube rant about how fucking stupid that section was. And thank God I didn't, because the solution was so easy. But at the time, I couldn't think. I couldn't make any sense of it. There's usually some guys on this street as well, but we've done this quickly. But as soon as you go through here, as soon as it loads, and it does take a while to load, hold the left trigger. I think it's the left trigger. It might be the right trigger. And then bounce immediately up to there. If done correctly, he will not continue to be suspicious. If not done correctly, he will spot you and he will ruin your achievement. So reload that shit and get out of there. But now that we've done that, this is the easy part now. All you need to do is retrace your steps the exact same way you came in to get out. And the final area where we entered can be a little bit tricky, because going from the perspective we're going from is tougher than the perspective we came from. But aside from that, everything else is pretty standard, and this path here should definitely get you through. Or I hope it does anyway. And just a couple of things to bear in mind. On the next level, you want to have as many sleep darts as you can. If you're not concerned about getting no kills, get gun bullets, get lethal arrows, get whatever you want. But if you're doing what I'm doing, you're going to need the sleep darts, because it's a lifesaver. It makes the section so much easier than it needs to be. But this guide should have been out much sooner, and I am sorry for the people that were wanting it or excited for it. I have a lot of projects going at this moment in time, and because I'm able to allocate quite a lot of time to YouTube, I'm not afraid of starting new ones. And I'm always excited about recording a guide. I'm not so much excited about this part of it. So I look at it like the honeymoon suite of the recording is the fun part. I love the recording. The editing and the commentating is the hard part. And it's not hard because I don't enjoy doing it. It's hard because it's very time consuming, and the amount of time you have to spend doing it, not all of it is fun, because a lot of it definitely feels like work at times. You know, when you've been editing for longer than an hour to 2 hours without a break, and it's the same, you know, process what you're doing. If you're editing something like a film or something big and creative where you have a lot of creative direction over what you're doing, then editing can be glorious. But when you're, you know, trimming out load screens, trimming out deaths, putting it all onto the timeline, making sure that it links successfully, you know, doing it to a set routine of making sure the intro's there, making sure that fade goes there, making sure the watermark is visible, you know, making sure the sound levels are right. The more menial tasks of it, because it's not as creative as it is functional, and it can get tough after you've been doing it for 3 to 4 hours. And then the commentating is great until you lose topics, until you get to the point where you don't know what to speak about because the video itself is not giving you that many things to talk about. Your mind's kind of blanking on any fun topics, and that's when it becomes very, very difficult. But it's still great, and it's still something that if you're interested in trying, I would definitely recommend. It's not for everybody, but I definitely enjoy it. So there are my stats, folks. There's the 0 kills, the ghost, the low chaos. That is the end of Eminent Domain. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.